After last week's simple bagel video, this week we're going to take it up a notch and we're going to make a nice home cooked meal. I don't remember how it's called. I'll put the name of it down here below when I edit this video, but for now we're going to call it the Beef Tinaktak Shakalaka. Hit that subscribe button and let's get started here on Cook! Don't be lazy! Get yourself a medium-sized pan, skillet, whatever it's called, and set your stove to a medium high. Now I've got my stove set to about a 7. A little bit of olive oil, and I mainly say a little bit because that's all I've got. So that's what we got to make do with. The olive oil ain't too important. We're going to let this preheat, but the olive oil ain't too important because we're going to get some oil out of our ground beef. So let's wait for this to preheat for a minute. Alright, let's get that stirred around. Dice up some onions. We're going for about half an onion. A pound of ground beef. And break it up. We're going to let this cook until it browns. We're going to stir it every now and then. We want to make sure it's browned. Now when you got most of the red out, there's very little bit of red left in some places. We're going to add some minced garlic. How much? Eyeball it. About a good, if I can get it to come out, tablespoon's worth. Come on out of, that's good. Get it stirred in. Let that cook for about a minute. Get some of that garlic flavor in there. We're almost done, believe it or not. About a minute in, after adding that garlic, get some green beans. Prep them, fresh green beans. Cut the ends, about 2 inches long or so. Throw them in there. I've got maybe a cup's worth. It all depends on the skillet pan that you're using. You don't want to overcrowd it too much. We're going to let that cook down for a little bit. We're going to add some salt. The salt is to taste. Some pepper. Same thing, to taste. Eyeball it. Any kind of seasoning salt. Seasonal, seasoning salt. Eyeball it. About that much. Give it a good stir. We're not done yet. Let me show you what this is. A can of diced tomatoes. Get that stirred in. I'm going to let this cook. We need those green beans to cook. We don't want crunchy hard green beans. We don't want them wilted and soft, but we don't want to eat raw green beans. So I'm going to let this cook for about 5 minutes or so. And we're almost done. One last ingredient. This one we got to be a little bit careful with. I don't know if I'm going to use the whole thing or not. Oops. I guess I don't have a choice. Coconut milk. And it all poured out. Like I said, I guess I don't have a choice. I wasn't intending on using all of it, but oops. That's alright. Now the only reason, to be honest with you, that I didn't want to use all of it is because I didn't want to turn this into an ugly color. So I wanted it to keep more of a reddish color for aesthetic purposes. But that's alright. Doesn't look too bad. What I didn't want is for this to turn into a very light color. So it's not too bad. I'm alright. I'm not too dissatisfied with the color. So roughly 3/4 of a can is what you want to use. And don't be a dodo head like me and let it all just spill out. But it still looks good. So that being said, I'm going to drop this temperature down to about a 4. And I'm going to let this simmer just for about 5 minutes so that the coconut milk can infuse with the rest of the ingredients. After that, it's just one last thing left to do. Time to plate up. So even though I made a boo-boo with the coconut milk and added a little bit too much, I've already tasted this. It tastes amazing still. The only other thing I did was made a side of rice to make this a complete meal. I'm ready to dig into this beef Tinaktak shakalaka, so I'll see you guys next week here on Cook! Don't be lazy.